Hello, romance. Ashley Collins, aka The Aunt of Dragons. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Breakup Diaries. I'm a little distracted right now because I just recently learned that you cannot inhale and talk at the same time, and I'm so hyper aware of it right now. Anyway, it's so random. Okay, I took myself out to Taco Tuesday as a kind of like a treat myself after the show ended, and so sitting right next to me, I usually go to whenever I go out to eat, I usually go straight to the bar because it's always faster service and like it's just me, so I shouldn't have to take up a table of 4 people when I'm just sitting by myself. But sitting right next to me was someone who was someone in the military, right? And I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of cute, but that wasn't the reason why I did what I did, right? So when the bartender handed him his tab, I was like, I'll take care of it. I want to pay for his tab. Really stupid thing for me to do, right? Because I'm sure he has way more money than me, and I just lost my job. So like, why would I want to do that to a stranger? And I was just like, I don't know. I just feel like if I just do as little as I can, the bare minimum that I can, then maybe that money will come back to me. I don't know, probably really stupid. But I also, every time I take an Uber, I always try to tip the driver. And I'm like, I feel like that's so stupid. You should stop doing that, Ashley. That's how you're gonna go broke. But I just feel like, I don't know. Okay, anyway. So yeah, I paid for his tab. And he was like super happy, like he just couldn't stop smiling. And earlier I made it because he got like 5 tacos, and these are like really good tacos. But I turned my head over at one point, and all his food was gone. I was like, wow, you like swallowed that, you know. And then so after I paid for his tab, he said, you know how you made that comment earlier about how I ate so quickly? That was my first time having fresh fish in so long. And I was like, wow, that's like, how long was it since you had fresh fish? And he was like, a year. I was like, you were stationed in Afghanistan for a year? And then something else clicked. I was like, oh my God, you were in Afghanistan during COVID. What was that like? And as soon as I immediately said it, I was like, fuck, you shouldn't have asked that. Like, what if that triggers him? Like, that's none of your business. Is he allowed to talk about it? But he was very open to discussing it. He was very open to discussing what it was like living over there, not only during COVID, but just living in Afghanistan, period, as an American soldier. We talked about feminism. We talked about aliens. It was such a great, exciting conversation that lasted for like probably 30 minutes. And then he had to go back to work, and I was like, "You're gonna ask my number?" No, that's okay. I didn't say that out loud, but I said it in my mind. Like, I reached for my phone. I was like, "Okay, bye." And I was like, "Oh my God. Did I miss my shot? Did he miss his shot?" We're not here to talk about me missing my shots and my failed attempts at flirting. We're here to talk about how to master small talk. Because you see how something so simple as being curious ended up resulting in a great enriching conversation. We all dislike small talk a lot, because what are the main subjects we talk about in small talk, right? We talk about the weather, bad traffic, and we talk about like whatever holiday is approaching. So right now it's the end of June, so I'm sure a lot of the conversation is going to be, what are your plans for the 4th of July? Same thing we do every year. It's going to blow up some fireworks. We're going to barbecue and fireworks. But it's like, yeah, okay. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to make small talk as less painful as possible. I hope that this is helpful to you. And also, overall, don't force the conversation. Don't try to sorry, airplane. Don't try to like pull teeth having this conversation. If you see that this conversation is going nowhere, politely end it. It's so weird how like not engaging in conversation is considered impolite, even though you don't really want to be in that conversation. So it's like, which one is less polite? Me not wanting to be here, or me staying here and listening to you? And I say, that's crazy. What? Wow, that's crazy. Okay, anyway, okay. So, two things that you need to understand in order to master the art of small talk. You must learn how to actively listen to them. And I also wrote down you also have to learn how to lie, but I don't think that that's true. I don't think you need to lie in order to actually be interested in what the person is saying. I think that you need to ask the right questions in order to help them be more interesting, you know? And also, when we have these discussions of like traffic or the weather or an upcoming holiday, I think that it's also like a sign that that person wasn't properly taught how to engage in conversation by themselves without a partner or a parent. Does that make sense? You know how when you meet a little kid, oh my god, some of these little kids are so fucking rude. I'm sorry, but they fucking are. They're so disrespectful. Oh my god, my niece and nephew are here. I hope they don't hear me. They're not disrespectful. They're very good kids. But you know how when you meet a parent with their child and you ask the kid, hey, what's your name? And then the parent answers for them. In a way, it's kind of like saying to the child, you don't have to speak for yourself. I'll be the one to speak for you. You know, you don't know how to have conversation. I'll be the one who has conversation for you. And then they go to school and the teacher speaks for them, you know, or they make a great group of friends and then their friends speak for them, you know. So now, and when they try to have conversation in everyday life, they don't know how to talk to people. Does that make sense? So yeah, learning how to actively listen. How do you actively listen? This is this is a skill that I think people have to learn. I think that God, I'm going in so many tangents right now. Like my mind is like, ha ha ha. Okay. I think that we need to learn how to learn. And this is something that Lex Friedman discussed on his most recent podcast. That I'm going to talk about this critical race theory thing, but I'm not going to go into too much depth because I had a dream about it last night and something just like clicked. I was also dating this athlete in the dream and I was like, oh, I don't want to wake up. But so when you want to teach a certain subject, as in critical race theory, you're assuming that the person's actually going to absorb the information that you're teaching them, right? So you have 12 years of school, right? So, but what do you learn in those 12 years of school? You learn how to absorb information, regurgitate it in order to pass a test, but you really didn't learn anything. You didn't learn anything that you're going to use in your everyday life unless you want to. So when you make critical race theory mandatory, you're going to do the same thing like any job training does. Here's 1 week or 2 weeks of training. Take a test. Take a test. Take a test. Are you ready for the job? No. You're assuming the fact that the person actually cares about the information that they're retaining, and you can't force someone to care. You had to make it personal to them. You can see Joe Schmo, Black Joe Schmo on a bench on the highway, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish that never happened to my Timmy, but you can't force them to care because that's not Timmy, you know. That was random, but what does that have to do with small talk? I don't know. Actively listening. Okay. Actively listening means, here's what I heard, here's what I can do for you, then here's what it means. Okay? So you have to actively be listening to what do they want from this conversation? What do they want from this one-on-one talk right now? You know? And sometimes it may be as simple as, I don't want anything. I just want someone to talk to, which makes sense. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Maybe I need to talk to people in real life more often. But it makes sense why everyone in Twitter is so crazy, right? Because they don't have someone to talk to in their everyday life. So as opposed to getting out and being social, they just go crazy on the internet world, and they know that there's no real consequences because they're not famous celebrities. It's not like they're going to get canceled. Worst case scenario, their account gets deactivated, but 48 hours they're reactivated, you know? But yeah, so it can be something as small as, I just want someone to talk to. That's it. We could talk about literally nothing. Can you just sit here and be with me? Can you sit here and be present with me? One of the things about actively listening is sometimes you improperly assume that you need to have an answer for their answer, right? Which is those fillers. Wow, that's crazy. What? I can't believe that. You know? which is so staged, right? But if you're actively listening, instead of having those word fillers, you can just be like, keep going, I'm listening, you know. And then also having a great follow-up question to the last thing that they paused with. Okay, and then you're able to do that if you're actually listening to them. Like if someone's talking about, oh man, I'm having car troubles, this is the fourth time this year, a good follow-up question would be, oh, what mechanics have you been seeing in order to fix your car? Then they answer you and you're like, oh well, I know of someone, if you want I can give you their information. Actively listening to what they're to help provide a solution for their troubles, blah. Okay. And a friend of mine, he pointed this out to me, which I think is very intriguing. He said that sometimes you have to I'm gonna say this all over again. Sometimes you have to repeat yourself multiple times, which one side of you is a little irked because you're like, are you actually listening to what I'm saying? But then again, what he pointed out was Jesus repeated himself 3 times intentionally in the Bible. So it's okay to repeat yourself repetitively. And now I feel like we're comparing ourselves to Jesus. But you get what I'm saying though, right? Assuming. Gosh, the assumptions are crazy lately. Ask more open-ended questions that will require more thought out response. I'm gonna say that one more time. Ask more open-ended questions that require more open-minded. God fucking fuck. Oh God, I hope they don't hear me. Ask more open-ended questions that require a more thought out response. Okay, so we all know the difference between open-ended and a closed-ended question. Closed-ended questions basically say yes or no. Closed-ended can also be, how are you doing? How's your day? Oh God, I hate those questions, you know. But I found something that I've been doing in my life recently is, and also don't look at me as an example, but you could try, you could test out the waters and let me know how it works for you. Something that I do is I reply the most ridiculous answers, right? So so if someone asks me, so how's your day going today? Something that I usually go to, I pull back out of my whatever in my repertoire of replies is, I haven't murdered anyone today. And that kind of like random response, like kind of like triggers like a oh response, or sometimes it creates kind of like a laugh. Like, so we have like a mutual giggle, or they walk away, which is like, fine, I didn't want to have this first conversation anyway. Something else that I do in order to not have such closed-ended response questions is I ask, how is your life? How is your whatever day this is? How is your Tuesday going? How is your Wednesday going? You know, I try to cater my questions specifically to that person. So if I know that that person's into sports, I'm like, oh my God, did you see the Clippers game last night, dude? Something else, and maybe this is something that I do naturally because I'm a woman, is handing out compliments. You know, like there's this one YouTube video where guys have to give each other a compliment, and it's so awkward. It's like, it's the easiest thing, just compliment his shoes, bro. Like which is so funny because a lot of the time the guys were complimenting their attire and not their physical features, which I think is so interesting that guys do that. But that was random. But yeah, handing out a compliment to them, and then elaborating on that compliment. Oh, I really like your shoes. Where'd you get them from? If you want the conversation to keep going, of course. If you're gonna crack a joke, make sure that you smile afterwards to let them know that, hey, I wasn't very serious. This is something that it's so hard to tell a joke via like text message, because then they'll be like, what? I'm like, oh, I forgot to put LOL. I forgot to put a smiley face to let them know that I'm not really a sociopath. What else? Oh, this is a really, really fun one that I love doing. And a good way to remember it is to think about Usher. You remind me of. So, I love relaying people that I know in my personal life with a particular stranger. Like, for example, I saw someone who looked just like my aunt the other day, and I was like, "You look like my aunt," and that makes me happy. And as a result of that, we had like a very short, small branch between each other, you know. And or you could make it silly, like, or like you could be like, "Oh, you remind me of my brother. He's such a jerk," and then like that usually creates a laugh as well. As you can see, most of my conversations are more garnished to, I want to end it with a laugh and with a smile, you know. Oh, a super easy discussion. Oh, so easy, such an easy discussion is talking about food, right? Talking about what's your favorite restaurant to go to, you know. And I like to, for something I like to do is, if they recommend a restaurant to me, I'll go to it. I love eating, even though I haven't really been eating lately. Yay. Keep in mind, geography dictates the conversation. So if you're in Florida, you're obviously going to talk about how hot it is, right? But if they're from not from Florida, let's say that they're from Michigan. Oh, what's the weather like over there in Michigan? Like I said, I know weather isn't one of the one of the most exciting conversations, but I think that you have to be intrigued about what it's like in different parts of the country, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, you know. And yeah. In conclusion, be prepared, be excited, and be prepared. I don't know why I can't talk today. I think it's whenever I have chapstick on, like, it's always hard for me to talk. But okay. Be prepared, be excited, and be prepared to pivot the conversation. I think that there's something very intimate about sitting with someone in silence. It's kind of like saying that we don't need to fill the air with words right now. We don't need to waste our breaths. We can just sit here right next to each other and be quiet. We don't have to say anything. And I think that should be the goal when starting a friendship, when starting a partnership with someone. The fact that you can just sit and say absolutely nothing, and that's okay. And I feel like we should work our way up to that, rather than, like I said, filling the air with pointless words. But also remember that you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose by having an awkward silence. It's not awkward. First of all, stop calling things awkward, okay? I know that I used that word a couple of times in this video, but it's only awkward if you create it to be. You have nothing to lose via discomfort, okay? Why do we have small talk in the first place? I think that we have small talk in order to avoid hurt and isolation. I think that we were given voices for a reason, right? We were given ears, hearing, for a reason, right? So why wouldn't we want to utilize it as much as possible and try to talk to as many people as you can? You're not going to be able to talk to the whole entire world, which for me, that makes me very sad. That makes me very sad. But while we're here, while you're sitting next to the stranger, while you're passing by this passerby in Walmart, why don't you share a chuckle? Why don't you share a smile? Why don't you share a, I love your umbrella. Be careful driving home in the rain today. Easy. At least it should be. That's it. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling and to my stuttering. Bye.